Hello, welcome to the Sports Breaker podcast. You go to source for the depth and analysis commentary of the world of sports. And today I'm focusing on football entirely, and I'm focusing on Man United. I'm your host Mike Ainomcha, and today we are talking about the topic of football that fans are really talking about, especially Man United's struggles under new coach Ruben Amorim. From early optimism of the coach, we are coming to an unfolding storm, and we will break down on what's happening and why it matters and what the future might hold for the Red Devils. I'm a big Man United fan, and talking about my club is something that I really feel with passion. And let me look at how United performed against Everton. United won 4-0, and it set spirits in United, and that was just after the game when Amorim warned fans that there is an impending storm and trouble is coming. And since then, United have played 7 games and they have lost 5, and they have fallen 14th in the Premier League, which is something that is worrying fans, and they are starting to wonder where it all went wrong. Amorim's record at Sporting Lisbon or Sporting CP had many excited about his appointment at United. He had gone a 34-game streak of undefeated games in the league, which followed him at United. But at Old Trafford, it has been different. It has been really different altogether. But why has he struggled to adapt? If you look at the Boxing Day was United was playing against Wolves, which is increasing United's struggles. For the first 45 minutes, United seemed a little bit solid. When I was watching that game, I was like, maybe in the second half we would come and do something better. United was really defending the set pieces very well. They were looking organized in the attack, and though they did not create many chances like we expected, but in the second half, the story was quite different. In the 46th minute, their captain Bruno Fernandes picked up a yellow card, leaving United the second yellow card, of course, after receiving one earlier in the half, and United were down to 10 men. And this was the turning point. Losing their captain, he's a creative force. It was a huge blow to Amorim that he couldn't afford. Wolves immediately capitalized on scoring a goal that was later turned down because of an offside, and they later capitalized in an Olympico. The second, United has conceded a very direct corner kick in a week. Remember having conceded one against Spurs in the League Cup. But how does this happen twice? It raises serious questions about training and preparations of such games. We can also look at Amorim's challenges. If you look at Amorim's after stepping into the team, there's been a crisis he has inherited as a coach. The squad is with low morale, and there's limited time to implement his ideas. If you look at players like Anthony, they have not been to the version of what we expected at United after purchasing him from Ajax. And in his post-match comments, you can hear him say that there is a lack of training time, which is really a big significant hurdle. I don't know whether United rushed to make that appointment, but what's more stuck between maintaining faith and his system and making drastic changes to get results? It is really balancing the act, and so far it's not working. I have to be honest, it's not working. Newcastle and Liverpool, which the teams are playing next, can he turn things around in time? Oh, this is the beginning for the end of his tenure. I'm just saying out loud, you know, Man United is a club of results, and if he doesn't make results, you can see his way out of the club. But if you look at fans, especially those online that I interact with, they still have the faith, and they are really optimistic of the road ahead. Despite the struggles, they support him very well. After those games, the traveling supporters, you really saw them. They stayed and clapped for Amorim and his players, which is a testament for belief in his vision. There's still that belief, but the brief won't stay that far. Results are what matters. Fans change all over and all over again. Amorim's instance on sticking to his statistics brought him success at Sporting CP. and they made him admirable to everyone in Europe. But is it going to be practical in the Premier League? And how much time will the Manchester United board give him to weather this storm? It's a lot of questions to answer from Amorim and his coaching staff. I mean, if you look at how they performed against Wolves, one might say it's a red card, but despite the red card, they had only 2 shots on target, and they were from Diogo Dalot, if I'm to remember very well. He tried pushing a few shots, and their striker did not really try to put some pressure on the defense line of Wolves at Molineux. And if you look at Man United defensive fragility, there's been recurring defensive issues, and in the loss of Wolves, they conceded from a direct corner for the second time. These kinds of goals point serious lapses, especially in the organization of set pieces. Man United haven't been converting well in the set pieces, but they are conceding. If you look at Arsenal, the game against Arsenal, conceding from 2 corner kicks, and now from against Spurs, those are big teams, and now against Wolves, there's a clear absence of marking assignments left. Diogo Dalot isolated on the left flank, where Matheus Nunes really exploited and the vulnerability and scored a surprising corner kick. That's not really something that is rare for United currently, and it's surprising that it isn't a new problem for Man United. And opponents have really identified that it's a weak point, and they're targeting it repeatedly. If you look at each game, United spot kicks could be free kicks and everything. They've exploited this vulnerability, and they've got results. I mean, they've scored goals. And if still in this game against Wolves, you can look at Bruno Fernandes' dismissal in the first half. It was another turning point in the game where Bruno Fernandes received an early red card in the second half. Tactically, this changed everything. Without Bruno Fernandes, I mean, he's not on form, but he's got that creative vision and leadership in the midfield. United struggled a lot to transition from defense to attack, and his absence, you could really see it, especially on Diogo Dalot's side. He left exposed. Every time he would try to run ahead, he would leave Matthias Cunha to run back, and he suffered a lot. With no midfield to cover him, Wolves overwhelmed his left side, and they led to constant pressures on United's backline. Amorim will need to rethink his approach to player discipline and structure to prevent such situations in the future, especially if you're facing teams that are really organized, like Liverpool in January. You have an Arsenal somewhere in the FA Cup. You have Newcastle, who have just won 3-0 against Aston Villa. You need to reorganize. Also, if you look at the pressing and the possession issues at United, the only player that tries to press is Manuel Ugarte, and United will not be with him in the next game against Newcastle after receiving the 5th yellow card. That means he misses that game. One of Amorim's signature tactics as Sporting CP was with high pressing style, which is very rare at United. However, United, they have really struggled to implement this kind of style against Wolves especially. You will let me know what you think of United's pressing in comment section on our different platforms or the Sports Recap podcast. And if you look at Wolves, the way they are pressing a disjointed United with gaps forming between midfield and defense, Kobe Mainoo will forget and be ahead of his position and leaves the gap which Gomez of Wolves exploited together with Matheus Nunes. And in position, United were predictable. They lacked the fluidity. They needed to break down Wolves' compact structure. And if you're playing like Matty Doherty, who's been playing as a right back, is in the centre back, that's an opportunity for you to capitalize on such tactical changes that have been brought in by Victor Pereira at Wolves. And there's a lack of cohesion among United midfield trio. It also meant that there's a limited creativity, and that's the reason why we saw fewer chances created for the forwards. I will not talk about the set piece vulnerability again because United have good issues. Looking at direct corner kick from Matthias Kuna. Oh my god! And Son Heung-min recently in Carabao Cup. It will cause me headache if I insist on explaining that. But I think there's been, in my own view, there's some things that United can change and that can be potential solutions. And if you look at reinforcement in the defensive shape, they need to implement a deeper block to reduce exposure to wide areas and the midfield stability. If this style has failed, maybe if they can implement a double pivot to protect the backline and maintain the defense. I know someone might say this has been a bit of a pivot, but if you look at Manu Ugarte and Bruno Fernandes, when they were playing, United looked a bit hard to run through. But should I say Kobe Mainoo should be at least adjusted to number 10 in my own point of view, and Bruno drips deep because he's proved to be weak, especially in the left-sided number 10. Then another thing, as United coaching staff, any fan out there would think, why are we considering from set pieces? United coaching staff, especially if there's a set piece coach, I know they need to prioritize on training to address marking, especially in positions during dead ball situations and corner kicks and free kicks, which are near box. And then there's also need to have a rotational press, simply pressing triggers to make more cohesive and effective. Manu Ugarte is trying to do it, but he needs someone. If I try to press, then there should be someone who maybe create a wrong ball. I don't want to create visions and memories of Paul Pogba the way he was doing it. But Kobe Mainoo needs to improve, especially on his long passes, to have this thing solved. And I will have to give my closing thoughts. I was really frustrated against the Wolves, watching United in the second half, and earlier having watched Chelsea, they were conceded 2 goals in the second half, and United doing the same mistakes. I mean, this is part of football, as Amorim insists. But the question is, how much patience will United have, especially as fans? And it's a long road. It's really a long road ahead, and the next few weeks could define the tenure of Amorim. What do you think? Because the current situation poses a lot of rhetorical questions. Will Amorim really prove doubters wrong, or is it time for United to consider another direction? I mean, it can be a tactical direction or a coach direction. It's too early for some United, especially who are optimistic, but Amorim's tactical philosophy has brought him success before. But adapting to Premier League is proving to be a steep learning curve. Can we see United tweak the system to survive this term, or we wait time to tell? Thanks for tuning into the Sports Breaker podcast, and don't forget to subscribe and share your thoughts on today's topic, especially United. And it's festive season, and there's been a couple of games happening in Uganda here. Uganda played against Burundi, they won, and earlier on 27th, Uganda under 17 will be playing in the finals against Tanzania, Sekafa Zonal qualifiers, which is some game that is important to watch for our youngins that are playing at Ham Stadium in Nachivugo. And please, I'll see you next time with more topics to digest and explore of a changing world of sports. Thank you for being a good listener. This is the Sports Breaker podcast. My name is Michael, and this podcast is really raw. I did not edit it, and you can hear the background noise. See you. Ciao.